Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats are the only political party in the world that can double down on failure. They can actually turn failure into a positive, a momentary gain. A momentary gain. It's not sustainable long term. So, when they were saying that Clinton was going to win, and all your favorite pundits, even on YouTube, were saying that Madam Cyberhack was going to win, and any other thought process was just hyperbole and clickbait. Even though I said that in 2015, in The Hill, The Huffington Post, and Salon, it's interesting. People who don't like my thought process, they've never read my writing. In the Huffington Post, The Hill, and Salon, I said Clinton is unelectable, and she lost. They then transitioned from Clinton will possibly win Texas to it was a Russian plot because the Russians are really afraid of Hillary Clinton, even though Vladimir Putin himself met with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's meeting with everybody. I love to meet with everyone. I love to feel everyone's pain. He's meeting with Loretta Lynch, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren, which is the original ridiculous news story. Obvious nonsense. Gee, I wonder what the Washington Post, how many Pinocchios they gave that one. Oh, how about nothing? They just believed it. Then, during the sale of, 20% of U.S. uranium capacity, that was never debunked. See, that actually happened. The Snopes debunking nonsense is that Hillary had, engaged in the sale because she was given money into the Clinton Foundation. Liberals find that egregious to put one and two to connect any dots. But if it's Manafort 10 years ago with an ostrich feather jacket, oh my God, that means Trump and Putin were doing something diabolical. But Bill Clinton's meeting with Vladimir Putin, and so you fast forward, the new narrative is that Russia's really, really frightened of Madam Secretary because she's so tough on the Russians. Therefore, they hacked the DNC, and how do we know? Because a firm called CrowdStrike informed us. Oh, okay. The United States government has never guaranteed this, but let me get to the point and consider yourself lucky that I didn't spend 10 minutes giving prefacing this. Robert Mueller is going to testify. Adam Schiff says Adam Schiff, this is great. It's fantastic. This is wonderful. This is the best thing. House Intel Chairman convinced Mueller will testify. Well, now you've done it. William Barr it's almost like William Barr and President Trump, they're begging Democrats to do this. And Democrats, for their base, there's a lot of talk about Trump's base. No, the base that lacks intelligence is the Democratic Party base. How do you go from an overt criminal is qualified to Russians were afraid of that overt criminal because her husband is best friends with Vladimir Putin? To, there was no collusion after 2 years. To, and by the way, she's running again. So tell people on Twitter. I type in my name on Twitter, see what people are saying about me, because I find it amusing. And I don't have a Twitter account, but tell people on Twitter, Facebook, everything. Hillary Clinton is going to run for president again in 2020. H.A. Goodman has said this. It is set in stone. Just enjoy the show, because it's going to be a repeat of 2016, but even more enjoyable. So consider my voice, and I'll consider you, my viewers, just, this mutual therapeutic, cathartic session where we just look at everything going on and see Democrats descending in further into the abyss that they've created for themselves. But what do you want the special counsel to say during testimony? The bottom line was that there were declination decisions. He declined to charge anyone. You can just, if you have the misfortune of debating anybody on the left, I'm starting a website soon that will help you, will give you every link you need to debate every nonsensical, irrational, false claim. Trump is a racist. Trump's economy is a horrible economy. Trump's foreign policy is bad. Trump works with Russia. I can debunk all of those, and I'll give you the links. And it'll be a subscription website for everything, but you'll still be able to use some of it, even if you're not subscribed to it. But it's going to be if you have a coworker, a family member, and most of it'll be from left-leaning sources that debunk their own propaganda. So it's coming out soon. It's called defeatingtds.com. Defeating, and then TDS stands for Trump Derangement Syndrome. But so definitely check that out when it comes out, probably in a month and a half, mid-June. What do they expect Robert Mueller to say? This is the real question here. What do they expect Mueller to say? What do they expect Mueller to say, and how are they certain that Republicans aren't going to read a Vanity Fair article? So this is Vanity Fair. This is really important. This is one of the great articles of the whole Russian collusion myth. How ex-Christopher Steele compiled his explosive Trump dossier. This is a great article. Now, it's obviously meant to further the narrative that Trump worked with Russia. But in doing so, they actually expose Clinton engaging in behavior that they think is reprehensible. So, let me just read you. Okay. How good were these sources? Consider what Steele would write in the memos he filed with Simpson. By the way, Glenn Simpson is not mentioned in the Mueller report. And check out my last segment that's doing quite well. There's a reason that Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS, because they might have even outsourced Fusion GPS to actually help write the report. They were outsourcing researchers and investigators. This is supposed to be done from intelligence derived from the United States government. The U.S. government is supposed to have all this intelligence. And yet nothing that the U.S. government can't say with certainty anything. If you read the ODNI and DHS reports, which I explain in my Federalist articles, have warranty disclaimers, and I link to the actual warranty disclaimers. I'll read them in a second, but how good were these sources? Consider what Steele would write in the memos he filed with Simpson. This is the Vanity Fair article. Source A. To use the careful nomenclature of his dossier was, quote, a senior Russian foreign ministry figure. Source B was, quote, a former top-level officer still active in the Kremlin. Yes, Hillary Clinton purchased a dossier from somebody compiled with help of somebody who was still active in the Kremlin. And both of these insiders, after, quote, speaking to a trusted compatriot, would claim that the Kremlin had spent years getting its hooks into Donald Trump. There would have been one shred of U.S. intelligence. See, there's a huge misunderstanding. The media doesn't understand something very, very, it's crucial to getting all of this. The United States government cannot say with certainty that anything took place based on its own intelligence. CrowdStrike, it was outsourced. When they indicted Russian intelligence officers, look at the indictment. Company 1. The U.S. government is indicting these people based on information derived from Company 1. That is not, I don't see how that is, I don't even see how that's possible to file a lawsuit, especially an international, this big internet, you're indicting Russian intelligence officers based on what a company that was outsourced by the Democratic Party assesses. The United States government has never confirmed anything. I mean, this should really go to the Supreme Court. You cannot have intelligence. You can't have the intelligence community simply trust companies associated with a political party, the Democrats in this case, to just, start indicting people in other countries. That doesn't work. It shouldn't work. And the same goes with Assange also. You can't say that we have this information. Well, the Obama era issue, you still can't say we have this information based on CrowdStrike. How good were these sources? Consider that Steele would write in his memos he filed with Simpson. Source A, to use careful nomenclature of his dossier, was a senior Russian foreign ministry official. A senior Russian foreign ministry official. Source B was a former top-level intelligence officer still active in the Kremlin. And both of these insiders, after speaking to a trusted compatriot, would claim that the Kremlin had spent years getting its hooks into Donald Trump. Source E was an ethnic Russian and close associate of U.S. Republican candidate Donald Trump. The individual proved to be a treasure trove of information. How do we know it wasn't Debbie Wasserman Schultz? How do we know? How do we know this wasn't Uma Abedin saying, I'm a Russian agent? Because he didn't step foot in Russia. This was all done from email and phone. It says in the article, he never stepped foot in Russia. The individual proved to be a treasure trove of information. No, it just repeated Democratic Party talking points. That's why when, there's people who think that I'm, nuts, but actually they're the ones who are, because they're like, oh my God, the orthodoxy, the blasphemy he's spreading. It's like, they're easily duped. And they trust authority that they like. They don't trust President Trump or William Barr, but they love Clapper. Even though Clapper is the guy not only lied under oath, so he did commit perjury regarding the NSA, but also he's actually saying that there was no evidence of collusion. They never had any evidence ever, but they kept the logic they used to paint Trump as a Russian stooge is not the logic they use to look at money flowing into the Clinton Foundation and a uranium deal going through. With that, you can't prove anything. But with Trump, oh my God, if you connect 20 different dots, at the end of the day, you get nobody indicted for collusion. Clinton should have been indicted under the Espionage Act because she actually, Madam Secretary, Madam Cyberhack, actually stored and sent and received information marked classified and top secret and special access program intelligence, and she was able to receive these emails. That's the thing. She was able to receive these emails without the United States government even knowing, without even President Obama knowing. Gee, I wonder why she didn't tell President Obama. You think you might tell your boss. President Obama hired Clinton as his Secretary of State. You think that she would have the good decency to tell him that she was using a private server. You think that if it was the other way around, and if it was Pompeo with a server, Pompeo with a server, servers outside the U.S., they wouldn't ask 1 million questions. Speaking in confidence to a compatriot, the talkative Source E, they love it. This cloak and dagger style, I love it. It admitted there was a well-developed conspiracy of cooperation between them, the Trump campaign, and the Russian leadership. Really? Any evidence from actual U.S. intelligence sources? No. Then the Russian regime had been behind the recent leak of embarrassing email messages. Embarrassing email? Well, what did they say? Emanating from the Democratic National Committee. What did those embarrassing messages say? Ever wonder why when you hear that something was embarrassing, it's never cheating Bernie Sanders? The Democrats cheated Bernie Sanders. They cheated Bernie Sanders. Say it 1,000 times. They cheated Bernie Sanders. And we have to hear about everyone pontificating, this president, this administration. They have not stopped their temper tantrum. They are this is a temper tantrum that never goes away. They've never just admitted that he's won, and they have to move on. And they certainly won't pass Medicare for all legislation because they're deceiving voters. They're dangling that hope, that dream that's not feasible economically. If it was, why don't they vote on it? The Mercatus study states, it gives the explanation of doubling to tripling tax collection explains it's not feasible. They're not going to run on increased taxes, even if you don't double, triple, even if you raise. The Democrats are not, the Democratic Party, they're not stupid. I mean, they are, but they're not like, we're just going to raise taxes 20% across the board, and you'll get Medicare for all. Nobody will vote for it. They'll have zero chance to win because not everyone has. Most people don't have the progressive view of Medicare for all. If they know they have to pay 20% more in taxes, or if corporations have to pay 20% more in taxes, that's not the way they think. And let's say I could be wrong about that. Because even the study that actually lists, that explains that, hey, you will have to pay for it, the support goes down to like 25% or 30%. But let's say I'm wrong. Why isn't AOC focusing more on Medicare for all than her garbage disposal? Gee, I wonder why. But then it was like, oh my God, you mean this conjecture and innuendo and hearsay and gossip from an unnamed source in a dossier that was purchased by Clinton has stated that Trump works with Russia? We need to investigate this. Could you imagine if the reverse were true? Always ask if the Democratic Party would accept the reverse. If the shoe was on if the tables were turned, and if the shoe were on the other foot, would they accept this? No, they wouldn't. And that's why, like, they run the left and liberal politics runs only on peer pressure, a very rigid paradigm of thought that just always seems to benefit the I'm with her crowd. It's all at the behest of Madam Cyberhack. And when she runs again, it'll all be clear. This 2 years was simply paving the way, breaking people's willpower, forcing out any there are on the left there are no more there's no like H.A. Goodman type personality or figure or journalist or writer or columnist. So, I mean, I made this switch voluntarily. It wasn't, I mean, they already disliked me with the passion most people on the left, or a lot of people, I should say, not most, maybe a great many. Because I did not adhere to the paradigm, the absurd paradigm of thought. And the day I decided to be a Trump supporter and vote for Trump, it was the day that, the DNC sued Russia and Trump and all that nonsense. But now they're going after any journalist who's firmly on the left, who are progressives, Michael Tracy. It's not enough to critique. See, they want, if you're not getting hit pieces, if you're not getting outrage on Twitter for just simply evoking a logical, rational viewpoint on the left, you're not doing your job. So when they say, well, I was against, and now I'm not talking about, there's a certain people I really respect. I'm talking about the people who've just disparaged me on the left. For those people, they never critiqued Clinton to the point where they were actually saying something. They were apologetic, and she just isn't a good candidate. You can go a little further. Say, criminal acts, too much for you? Because with Trump, he didn't even commit crimes, and you're all over the, oh my God. So when people, Haiti, we can go on forever. Libya, there's a litany of things that Clinton is involved in that would end the career of anyone else, especially a conservative. Things she said. But you have a guy, I just find it, subscribe to his channel. If you're on the left, he has a YouTube channel, Michael Tracy. He's great. I'm sure he probably doesn't like anything that I stand for as a Trump supporter. Maybe he does. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't think, he definitely does not like Trump. But he is an example of somebody that they're trying to call him the next H.A. Goodman. This is you're turning into H.A. Goodman. It's like I find those references to me not only amusing, but a badge of honor. Because if I am the antithesis of what liberal pundits who believe that Russia interfered in the election like it's like the McCarthy era, if I'm the antithesis of their political paradigm, thank God. But they're going after that guy, and they'll go after anyone that pushes the envelope too far. If you push the envelope too far. And with Mueller, it's like, what do you expect him to say? He already stated there's no one's indicted. So you're going to what if a Republican congressman reads this Vanity Fair article and says, "Hey, did you check the sources of the Steele dossier? Did you verify if they were true? Can you verify with 100% certainty the DNC was even hacked? Yes or no?" Like the way Kamala Harris asks William Barr, yes or no? Are you 100% certain? Because we know the U.S. government is not from the ODNI and DHS reports, the Director of National Intelligence and the Department of Homeland Security intelligence reports. This is not national security. This is about Facebook ads and about a scorned Democratic Party who had 8 years of an administration that merged media and corrupt intelligence officials. They were all leaking to the media. And Democrats will believe anything. Anything. They're not like Trump supporters are far more independent. Trump supporters generally are given a bad rap. Then, of course, you get the same thing. Somebody said something horrific at a Trump rally. Do you have the evidence? No, but we heard it. Oh, okay, so you're making it up again. So you're basically like those two Democratic operatives who were forced to resign because they actually did foment. Their job was to foment violence at Trump rallies. Okay? What do you expect Mueller to say? So when Adam Schiff's like, well, we're going to have him testify. Like, you're going to double down on not only stupid, but also you're going to double down on a failed narrative that is easily exposed when they can simply ask. There's a bunch of questions they can simply ask Mueller. There's a bunch of questions they can ask Mueller. One being, did you verify the Steele dossier? Two, why did two of your attorneys view the Steele dossier prior to the election, which is the case? Two of them, actually. Why did you hire only Democrats and Democratic loyalists? Why didn't you hire a Trump supporter? Why didn't you hire a registered Republican? Oh, because Mueller was supposed to be a Republican. He was President Obama's FBI chief, and he didn't even inform President Obama that there was a racketeering scandal on U.S. soil where a trucking executive eventually was indicted. And yellow cake uranium was shipped out of the country. This is while Putin. And that bribery scandal was started by a Russian official. All of this was going down. I mean, you're going to... When the media finally transitions to, hey, we've been in bed with the wrong side. Because the media doesn't care about truth. They just care about, influence and money. And when they find that it's more lucrative to actually be, maybe a little bit more objective than possibly some parts of the media saying, hey, Trump ain't that bad, possibly. Because in the second, what do they have to gain? They're going to lose again in 2020. They will be at their lowest point. They might as well cater to, the majority of the country that's like, no, we don't care about Facebook ads from Russia. That's ridiculous. But what's going to happen to Democrats in the media? They're going to find out that, hey, for 2 years, you had people like Adam Schiff, you had people like, all of them, doing everything possible to pave the way for Hillary Clinton and have her lose yet again. And they'll vote for her with the same vigor, the same enthusiasm. Simply ask, why didn't you interview Natalia Veselnitskaya and Joseph Mifsud. I mean, these are questions that you can ask. And then you have like, oh, why Russia loves Trump? Well, you can easily write an article on why Russia loves Clinton, and actually it'll be more tangible. He's actually been more belligerent towards Russia in terms of arming the Ukraine and sanctions. So it's like the whole thing's ridiculous. Putin is not. He's smart. They talk about chess. He's a lot better at chess than the Democratic Party. He already got at 20% of U.S. uranium capacity, and if the rebuttal is, well, now it's not 20%, still he got a certain percentage of U.S. uranium capacity. That was an important. Well, it's just a commodity. Yeah, it's also a commodity that could lead to the real destruction of the planet instantly. And he has control of that. And I guess finally I remember the point that I was going to make prior to this. When media finally wakes up from the late 20s, early 30s, people who just believe that conservatives are, the most horrible human beings on the planet, the Obama administration will be one of the most corrupt administrations in U.S. history. To allow, not only to fail to veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to Russia, to Vladimir Putin, and you have a company that is essentially owned by the Kremlin, and you just allow that to go through. Then you have lobbyists who are linked to the Democratic Party. You have money flowing into the Clinton. You have an FBI informant saying, yeah, they were bragging about their influence over the Clinton Foundation, and all of these things. In addition to allowing your Secretary of State to have servers outside of the United States government where she can just conduct her Clinton Foundation business. And oh, by the way, if classified and top secret intelligence is mixed in with her private information, you know what? The laws regarding that's for little people. If you're a sailor, then, you have to go to jail just for a photo that you put in the trash. This Christian Saucier was, he was kept away from, sent to jail, away from his family for a year, and President Trump pardoned him. And here you have Hillary Clinton, who is doing 1,000,000 times worse, and they say, oh, well, she didn't mean to do it. And then now she's running again. And I actually think a lot of things that would be would seem to be counterproductive, like I want them to impeach President Trump. As a Trump supporter, I want that. As somebody who wants President Trump to win in 2020 and who will win in 2020. And he is confident, and I'm telling you, he's going to win in 2020. He's going to defeat Hillary Clinton. But I want them to impeach Trump in the House, just so the Senate Republicans can actually circle the wagons. And the senators like Romney can realize that they have zero influence long-term in the Republican Party. It's like they're going to impeach, and people are going to wonder why. Like, it's a good economy. Why is he getting impeached? He didn't work with Russia. Why is he getting impeached? Then when Clinton runs, because it'll be when she runs, she's running, everything, all the judging, and I've always scoffed at people on Twitter like trying to judge morality. With the Democratic Party, you had President Obama drinking Flint water and saying it was safe. If anyone did that, it would be, oh my God, supremacy, enabler, tiki torch everyone, oh my God, they would never stop. They would never stop preaching and pointing the finger. He literally drank water and said, oh yeah, it's safe. That's just one of the many bizarre and horrible things that took place that Democrats are like, oh, that's fine. But when Clinton runs, she will be the embodiment of the left's hypocrisy and the irony, because she did and said, in terms of rhetoric and deed, the absolute antithesis of everything they've been preaching for 2 years. Oh, Trump's America. Trump is enabling this. Oh, yeah, you're voting for Hillary again. You want to know what she said on this occasion? You want to know what she said here about these people? You want to know what she did to destroy this country? Oh, yeah. In terms of YouTube policies, like, I'm not even going to get into everything. I mean, there are certain countries, if you say the name, it's like, oh, big problem. But everything they accuse Trump of, they're the ones who are guilty of committing or engaging in. Give me your thoughts below. To the people who support my voice, thank you so much on Patreon. It's in the middle of my, it's in the pinned comment. I just want to thank you very much. My latest, Scott Mullins, thank you so very much for your support. And I'm going to try to read from now on all my new Patreons. But thank you to everyone who's supporting my voice. And my voice, and your voice especially, is going to be important for the next year and a half and beyond, but mainly the next year and a half. There's a battle for the soul of this country, and it's true, and the Democrats love to say that, but they're actually pointing to, yeah, that's true. And God willing, and with just basic logic and reason, you can realize that, yeah, Trump didn't work with Russia, and you pretty much framed him and fabricated everything. And Clinton not only was a horrendous candidate who was unelectable in 2016, she'll be unelectable in 2020, but you will rally around her. And in terms of the soul of America, Trump's going to win again. And you're going to see a whole lot of indictments, James Comey, Clapper, Brennan. I explain in my Federalist article, and ultimately, Madam Cyberhack. Give me your thoughts below. Share this segment everywhere. And also, check out Nick DiPaolo. His link is below. He's an amazing, amazing comedian, an amazing political voice. Thank you.